It's Bigfoot Collectors Club with Bryce, Michael, and Riley. I know a story of high strangeness or two. Let's do this.
Hello, and welcome to Bigfoot Collectors Club, the show where we talk to amazing guests about their personal paranormal history and share stories of high strangeness. I'm your host, Michael McMillan. With me always, wearing a very interesting getup, is your other host,
Bryce Johnson. We're on video now.
What are you doing? What are you doing over? I mean, maybe not for long if this is the way you're going to dress.
You know what? This is actually not too far from how I like to dress. Other than the coolers, I just bought these $10 at Target, and I actually got it for my dog, Baby, on her walks. You turn on, and they just keep her. Although she's learning how to walk with it, she's like, "Wait, I walk with that?" Anyway, let's get back to introductions.
So you're wearing a dog collar? Is that what you're telling me?
Hot. It's a neck fan, Michael. It's a double neck fan.
A neck fan, so it cools your neck specifically.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I can aim it too. I can point it at my ears or my eyes. Look at that. Or at my nipples if I really need to cool
settle down over there.
Okay. All right.
Also joining us in the studio is your ultra-terrestrial producer,
Riley Bray.
Hello, boys.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi. We have an amazing guest with us this week. I think we should just bring him right in. He can join all the fun. The neck fan has already broken the ice. They are an author and illustrator from the UK who has created some of my favorite books here in the BCC library: the Illustrated History of UFOs, the Illustrated History of Ghosts, and they've got a brand new addition to the series out right now as you're listening to this, called the Illustrated History of Urban Legends, with a very gorgeous Mothman on the cover. Club Scouts of all timelines, please welcome to the show, Adam Allsuch Boardman.
All right.
Hello.
Adam, show the book cover.
Yes, let's do
to
some
camera.
props.
Look at this beautiful Mothman on the Illustrated History of Urban Legends.
Now, Mothman has a UV finish, so he's kind of shiny.
Ooh, I like. He should be, because
He
he's
sense
probably
the shininess.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Oh, yeah. There it is.
That's nice. He is an ultra-terrestrial, so he should come with a little bit of glimmer, I think.
Yeah.
That's going to pop right off the shelf. That's something I would buy. I miss perusing that good old section of just paranormal books, and that's going to stand right out on there. Michael, you're a big fan. You've been talking about this guy and these books for evies now.
For Evie's, I got the boys, Adam, copies of the Illustrated History of UFOs for Christmas a couple of years ago. And I'm so excited because, you know, I've got them right here in case people don't believe me.
Nice.
I love these books. They are an inspiration to the show. There's been many times I've flipped through and gone, what is that? I've got to look this up. And then they've become stories of high strangeness. We're going to get into all of this. Before we do that, Riley, do you want to nominate our 5-star Club Scout of the week? This is someone who left us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And as far as we know, that still helps get the show to people.
I sure do. It's from Paranormal Mom. And the subject is 5 stars. One of my favorite podcasts by far. These guys are addicting to listen to. The subject matter is always fun, and the guys are always upbeat and humorous. But most of all, they are putting love and good vibes into the universe. 5 stars.
Woo!
Aw,
Fantastic.
thanks, Paranormal Mom.
Yeah,
So-
right on.
Thank you so much. You are a 5-star Club Scout of the week. Adam, I have a question for you. Speaking of people who enjoy our podcast. Now, I've noticed in your books that you've put podcasts in the illustrations. I noticed that
Certainly.
our friends Henry Zabrowski and Marcus Parks the last podcast on the Left Crew made it into your books. What do we have to do in this episode?
Oh, jeez.
Get into a future
Opening the hard sell.
Adam Allsuch Boardman
Just
book.
starting right in there.
What's it gonna take?
Well, I'm going to need some good reference material. I'm going to need you all to strike a very memorable pose.
Okay, great.
Okay,
Here we go.
great.
Right, should be
Great.
hard for Bryce. Here we go right now.
Okay, I'm screenshotting. Great.
Great,
You're going
I
to
love
have
it.
a cameo in the next book, even if it's a STEM book for children.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
That would be honestly my favorite.
Riley's stoked.
You know, I'm an illustrator first and foremost, and I do work on a lot of projects. So the next book I will be doing will be a STEM type book that will end up in primary and secondary school libraries.
Oh,
Great.
So
Honestly,
awesome.
What is the STEM acronym again? Science, tech,
Science,
engineering, and math.
technology, engineering, maths. Yes.
Oh, right on. Hey,
And
before
when you
Michael
introduce-
jumps, I want. Oh, go ahead.
Well, when you introduce the arts,
Bryce
it
is
becomes
coming in
STEAM.
Yes. Well, I just wanted to segue with a question. You know, we have so many independent artists as listeners, and we hear often that, you know, they often like to listen to podcasts while they're working. And is that the same for you? When you work, do you like to listen to podcasts?
Yes, I've been listening to non-stop horror fiction podcasts this last week, but it'll go through phases. I like audiobooks. I listened to a lot of Philip K. Dick recently, which was good fun.
Mm-hmm.
It can be quite intense, though. Scanner Darkly and Ubik back to back was quite brain twisting.
Ubik's one of my all-time faves.
Which one?
Ubik is one of my all-time faves. Super creepy book.
Just some amazing imagery and made me feel very uncomfortable. But I guess that's the point.
Yeah,
exactly. Slightly influence these children's educational materials.
Well, it's funny you bring up the STEM stuff, Adam, because I feel like ending up in children's libraries is how we were turned on to the paranormal when we were young. Finding really great books from the 70s and 80s that taught us about ghosts and UFOs and urban legends. I'm curious. We asked this question to everybody. What is your personal paranormal history? How did you get into this stuff in particular?
Well, may I ask if one of those influential books was The World of the Unknown by Usborne?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, look at that classic.
So I would say I'm in the
Nostalgia
exact same... Yeah, 1977, I would say. Beautiful illustrations. And I think it got a reissue a few years ago. They reissued the whole series of The World of the Unknown. Just a kaleidoscopic journey of colours and stories. And I'm probably the same as you guys. I read these kind of books in the school libraries. We were suspiciously well stocked in the school I went to.
That's so funny. Not ours. We always had to like send out for the good ones. You remember the send out cards? They'd be like have a list of titles and they'd maybe have like one or two ghost books. But you had to always send out at my school anyway to get the good stuff. But Michael, you're so right. You know, to your point, this is how we got interested. Well, besides seeing demons in our windows, but after that, then we're like hitting the library trying to figure out what the heck's going on. And I think it's so true. What an entry point for so many people are connecting colors to these stories with these crazy images they're seeing, you know?
Adam, have you ever had an experience yourself? Is there anything that sparked your imagination as a kid or as an adult to say, I got to find out what's going on here?
Most of it's happened in recent years, probably as I've been researching the paranormal, which is an interesting correlation. But apparently when I was a kid, I was quite good at dowsing, if you're familiar with dowsing.
Oh, we are. It's a controversial subject on the show. Thanks to our listener.
I'm going to go get my dowsing rods.
Brian Gall.
I believe I would have done it with, I think it's yew wood, like from a yew tree in the shape of a Y. Apparently, my parents took me to Glastonbury, which is, the spiritual hotspot of England.
Yeah.
And supposedly the inspiration of Avalon in Arthurian legend. And apparently, as a child, I was pretty good at dowsing. My parents took me to a Glastonbury tour. Glastonbury being the supposed inspiration for Avalon in Arthurian legends, and apparently I was good with the dowsing.
Finding water?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember. It's before my memories formed. But in more recent years, I've had a lot more paranormal experiences.
Wait, hold on a second.
Research.
We have to.
Yeah, you just ran past.
have
Adam, go get Grandpa a drink, would you? Would you find some water for Grandpa?
I just like the idea of like your parents handing their like toddler child dowsing rods to go run around like
Mommy needs a drink.
The setting of Avalon, you know.
Well, it's just one of those things that you do. You know, the town I came from is just taken for granted. We danced around the maypole every year. Are you aware of that tradition?
Sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
We had wassailing to. I can't remember if it's to encourage the spirits or disperse the spirits from the apple trees, but we would do that as well.
What town is this? Where'd you grow up?
I think it's Summer Isle from The Wicker Man. That's probably where I grew up.
Oh, yeah. Wow. I was going to say.
Wow.
You guys wear rabbit masks as well? Because...
No, but they would dress as the Green Man sometimes. Various performers.
Why didn't I not grow up here?
Wow.
Whoa, this is
You're blowing
cool.
our minds right now. You've been immersed in the paranormal, it sounds like, all your life.
Yeah, well, my folks would often take me to stone circles and various megaliths. It was just a fun day out. I never thought it was strange in particular.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot of children in Britain have had a similar experience, but I haven't met that many who have.
You just described my ideal childhood, and
I know
now
we're all very jealous. Child housing prodigy.
Big pull-out book which would show where all the megaliths were, and we'd just go on long drives, and we'd get out and find these old stones covered in sheep crap, and no one had been near them for a while. Or sometimes there'd be some offerings like cut up apples and stuff that neo-pagans or New Age people left behind.
So cool.
Yeah.
What?
I just went into sewers and played Spin the Bottle.
That sounds just as character building.
Yeah, in a different way, but yeah.
Well put.
Were there any cryptids or creatures associated with any of these locations that you went to as a kid? Did you ever hear stories of like, oh, there's a witch that lives near this thing, or you have like the Cornish owlman, for example? Was there anything like that?
Usually it would be named fae or fairies, and they would have a specific name or a character associated with them. Like there's not far from where I grew up, there's a place called Janet's Foss, and it's associated with this fairy-like entity, an elemental called Janet. She seems nice. And then
so they're personifying some of these elementals then and giving them names? That's like Janet though? Like, I mean, we always talk about how a cool cryptid needs a cool name. I'm sure Janet's awesome in her own way, but like I maybe I'm missing something. Janet, the forest elemental.
But I think Janet's probably one of those names like Brittany that's been around for a very, very long time and then just got very domesticated.
Listen, I don't want no trouble with Janet. I just think that's cool. It's interesting. I want we sort of personify our cryptids too in a different way, but that's wild.
Janet, Karen, they're all coming for you.
No.
We also have a lot of landmarks that will be called the Devil's so-and-so. Like there'll be the Devil's arrows, the Devil's footprints, pretty much everywhere you go. There's a whole book on it that just collects all these different places around England, Scotland, Wales that are the Devil's so-and-so.
What do you attribute to that? May I ask? What do you think?
Yes.
Allowing for interpretation. What do you think goes on when people are naming these like bluffs and creeks and places Devil's so and so? Do you think that there's sort of a nefarious spirit that dwells there or something?
I think of a lot of the time it would be a parabolic tale, especially with things around the water. One could say you're creating a threat for the children, so they don't go near the water and do something dangerous.
Yes. A dangerous spot. You're keeping them away from it. Yeah.
Or it could be a way of empowering yourself over the danger by giving it a name rather than allowing it to be abstract.
I love that.
I like that,
Because they say that you have control over things of the supernatural if you have their name or if you know their name, which I did.
I wonder if they start that way. They name these places to get people to avoid them from like injuring themselves, but then they take on a life of their own and they start to like take on energy from people who are dispelling like fear at a heightened level about the craggy rocks, and then it's like, and then they're just like building fear on top of it, adding to this spirit or whatever. I think that could happen sometimes too, maybe.
Like a tulpa feedback loop.
Yeah, tulpa feedback loop for sure.
Right.
So Adam,
it's very possible that the original name might have come from a real person that happened to live there, a hermit or a cunning folk.
Janet Diablo.
Yeah.
Adam, what were some of these things that have happened to you more recently?
Yeah.
Mostly sleep paralysis, everybody's favorite. I must have seen every variation of hag, grey alien, shadowy lady from the ring. The first time it happens, it's kind of scary, but now it's kind of entertaining.
No way.
Walk us through some of these. Let's start with the alien grey.
I think that was almost immediately after I read the famous book Communion by Whitley Strieber.
That's why I avoid it.
Wow.
And at the time I was living in a really small apartment type thing, sharing with another person, and my actual bedroom wasn't much bigger than the bed, and I always sleep on my back, which is probably the problem. And it was probably about 2 a.m., maximum high strangeness time, and I was aware of grey beings with no eyes whatsoever.
Wow.
And I was aware that they were over me, breathing heavily, and my skeptic Dana Scully hat would suggest that it was my own breathing I was hearing, and it was because I'd read Whitley Strieber's Communion.
Right.
But over the years, I've seen, the Hat Guy. What's he called? The Hat Man.
The Hat Man.
Wow. I've seen an elderly man in a windbreaker, a beige windbreaker.
That seems very specific. That doesn't seem like a consistent night terror entity.
Wow. And then can you sort of walk me through again of like you being there going in that moment? Because I've tried to fall asleep. You can lucid dream that way just by trying to stay awake on your back. I can never do it because it's horrifying and uncomfortable. Can you walk me through that moment of you're like, oh shit, well, I'm asleep now, but I'm awake. Here come the corner entities. Who's it going to be tonight? Like, are you staring at these things like as your eyes are open, but you're asleep? Like, what is that like?
I do find myself compelled to stare directly at the thing until it sort of dissolves away into whatever abstract collection of shadows it is. Like, there was actually a few months ago when I was in a hotel in London, and I had the profound feeling that there was a figure that had their hand on my chest, and they were stood above me, pushing me down. And their face, unusually, it looked like they were wearing a white, maybe it was like a drama mask.
Sure. Theater mask
that you'd wear.
Wow.
A theater mask. That's the right term. It was completely black, and then behind was like a shining light.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like their head was glowing.
Wow.
And then as I stared at it, it sort of dissolved away into the shadows of the room.
Dude.
My dreaming brain had put all these images together.
So do these figures tend to interact with you as you watch them, or do they sort of approach and dissolve? Like, was that an anomaly that one put its hand on your chest, or how does that usually work out?
Yeah, a few times it felt like they were interacting.
Wow.
I think that was one of 2 occasions. The other time was when I saw someone next to me in bed, and it was like the horror movie scene.
Oh my God.
They get up.
Okay, so do you want to hear?
They look straight at me.
Oh my God. So I have a little pocket pet theory I'd like to share with you of maybe what's taking place, right? So at those hours of the wee morning, it's a liminal space, right? And as our body goes into deep sleep, I believe maybe something like our pineal gland starts to release a chemical known as DMT, a dimethyl, whatever. You guys know what it is, right?
Dimethyltryptamine.
Yes, it's endogenous to the body. Our brain produces it. Our heart and lungs produce it. But as this starts to secrete and put us into this dream space, we are now liminal as well. And so as Adam's staying awake, he's basically a receiver for entities that like to come through this liminal space who may also share in this DMT transference, allowing physical entities like the Gray, Hat Man and stuff to move through walls and come through and hang out in Adam's fucking corner while he's wide awake and then drift off back and dissolve again. I don't know. There's something taking place there because, this isn't just like hallucination. These are things. These are entities, I believe. Anyway, that's my pocket pep theory.
Well, that's like the $1 million question, though, Bryce, right? Like, are they actual entities that brain state allows you to perceive, or does that brain state conjure up those entities from your own consciousness?
When you couple those encounters with a confluence of physical evidence that accompanies it, sometimes like the Betty Andreasen, when things start to get weird around the house, and I'm just starting to put together patterns of why always 3 a.m. Why always that time? Why are we always half asleep? Why does it feel like a dream but more real than a dream? That's like lucid dreaming, right? When you're lucid dreaming, shit feels more real than life, right? There's a connection there. I'm not sure what it is, but it's crazy, man.
What do you think about that paradox, Adam? Like conjured or perceived?
I would lean, in my case, towards the conjured imaginations of my bad back and dodgy sleep habits. But, if they are real, I would only hope that they start contributing to the rent, really.
All right, well,
they're slipping in and out. They're not contributing anything.
Yeah, right.
They're eating your yogurt in the fridge.
I don't care what dimension they're from.
That's how I feel about my dogs sometimes. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to play a game with Adam. So, Adam, there's a game that we love to play with all of our guests. I'm going to go down a list of phenomena, rapid fire style. And now, it's 3 a.m. It's the middle of the night. You got to make a decision if this thing is real or if it's just a figment of our imagination.
Conjured from your psychic energy, yes.
If you're open to believing it, you're going to say, believe it. If you're not open to believing it, you're going to say, bullshit. This is a game we call Bullshit or Believe It.
Oh, believe it.
Sorry,
oh, Michael.
Wow.
Jeez.
I was reading it. I was reading it.
7
Sorry.
years in, he's taking cues now.
I know.
I'll do it again.
Okay. Yeah.
This is a game that we play called Bullshit
or Believe It. Leaned in a little heavy on that. Dang.
A little bit of a little too
now
much
I came
lead.
in hot.
You broke his rhythm.
All right, let's go. Okay.
Now you came in hot. Adam, on your mark.
Yes.
Get set. Ghosts.
Bullshit.
Bigfoot.
Bullshit.
UFOs.
Believe it.
Crystals.
Well, I've got some, so yeah. Why not? Believe it.
Ouija boards.
Bullshit.
Tarot cards.
Self-fulfilling prophecy, believe it.
Alien abductions.
Bullshit.
Shapeshifters.
Bullshit.
Shadow people.
I've seen them, believe it.
Gnomes.
I don't want to anger the gnomes, believe it.
Always
Smart.
a safe bet. Astral
Always.
projection.
You know what, believe it.
Psychic dreams.
Bullshit.
Sheep squatch.
Sheep squatch. I knew the sheeps were up to something. Believe it.
Bat squatch.
Bat squatch. No, that's too silly.
Too much.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Right.
The lizard man of Scapor Swamp.
Yeah, believe it.
Speaking to the dead.
Bullshit.
Demons.
Bullshit.
Wendigos.
Bullshit.
Werewolves.
Bullshit.
Parallel universes.
Believe it.
Past lives.
Bullshit.
Doppelgangers.
Believe it.
Destiny.
In the sense, well, okay, bullshit.
We'll come back. Life after death.
I haven't been there yet, so I don't know.
Oh, great. I love it. You know what?
Wow.
Fair enough. I'll let that last one slide. Destiny.
Or I have been there.
Wait a minute.
Might have been. Destiny. What was your hesitation and then your course correction on Destiny?
I was just thinking about Terminator 2 and the whole...
Oh my God, such a great film.
No
Right.
future.
No fate but what we make.
Yeah.
holding to the camera, holding to the camera a cast of a thumbs up, which I made myself.
Yeah. Oh no way.
Love it.
Tear came down when he went through the lava. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Beautiful scene.
So
Now
basically,
he knows why you cry.
you feel like
I'm gonna
we
print
can
up your Club
change.
Scout card right now. Hold on.
Okay, go ahead. So you feel like we can change? We're in control of our futures. The future's not in control of us.
Yes, I think that's the more optimistic way of viewing things. I think it would be fatalistic to assume everything's predetermined. You know, it's more of a... Well, yeah, it's more of an optimistic way of looking at things. If you think tomorrow I can turn things around.
Yeah, I like that too. There was another one that you lit up during Doppelgangers. You really perked up on that one. Why Doppelgangers?
I think it was one of the first unreal or supernatural stories I read in a big book when I was a kid called Strange But True. And I loved the stories about doppelgangers. And this particular book I had was absolutely unsourced. I have no idea where it got its stories from, but they were really good. Really well written.
Like our podcast.
the best paranormal stories are.
And apparently there's quite a few of my doppelgangers in the city I live, Leeds, because people are always sending me pictures of the back of people's heads and saying, this looks just like you.
That's kind of creepy. You might be manifesting your own doppelgangers through your belief system.
It could be.
Or
I've
same barber.
been to the Black Lodge and I've made a deal with some kind of bad spirit person.
I love it. Literally moments before you said that, the Twin Peaks came through my mind, and then also that led me to X-Files, which shows up in your books. You mentioned Dana Scully. I'm sidetracking here a little bit, but how has X-Files been an influence on your work and your life?
Well, I watched X-Files at a very, very young age, probably too young. I was actually born in the same year it first aired.
Oh, wow.
Does
You're
that
much
age
younger
me?
than us.
No,
dear.
it just makes you cool, man. It just makes you cool.
So, 1993, The X-Files, me, and Jurassic Park. So, not bad.
Wow, trifecta.
I love this. Hey,
But
so
yeah, I read X-Files. I watched X-Files and I read all the season books they would have, if you remember them.
Yep. And the
These
comics.
big paperback kind of guides to the seasons, and they'd be full of the profiles about the monsters of the week, etc.
Who is your favorite X-File monster?
I really liked the episode Pusher.
Okay.
Which was the guy who forced his will on people. That sounds really weird. But I liked the episode. I liked all the episodes written and made by Mr. Breaking Bad.
Yeah, Vince Gilligan.
Oh yeah,
Vince Gilligan.
Vince Gilligan.
Pusher's the one where he's got Mulder playing Russian roulette, right? And Dana walks in. Oh, such a great scene.
And otherwise, just the Monster of the Week episodes. There's that Dreamland two-parter where he swaps bodies with the guy who plays Chuck McGill in Better Call Saul. I should remember his name. There's just so many. I recently rewatched a lot of it.
Fluke
cool.
Man. Come on, Fluke Man.
Fluke Man. The big worm boy.
Yeah, Worm Boy. Come on. He's great.
So I have a question. You know, I sense, so as a guy who sort of works in mythology and folklore, and you know, I'm sure you must be familiar with John Keel. Something that you said to me kind of perked my ears, that things were happening more lately than not. And I was wondering, you know, he always had this sort of idea that when we engage with the phenomenon, it somehow seems to engage back with us. Have you ever felt sort of, and I'll put it in quotes, the phenomenon's presence, trying to push your story writing in a direction or two, or influencing you, or trying to come into your life in some way or another?
I think it has influenced me in the sense that it's pushed me to do more of it, you know. The UFOs book was something that I pitched to my publishers, and they found it, you know, they thought it was an interesting idea. This was off the back of doing a book about filmmaking, so quite a course correction.
Yeah, I wondered how you jumped from the history of film to the history of UFOs.
So in 2015, the publishers asked me to do a book on filmmaking. They'd seen my artwork in a show somewhere about an old cinema, and they thought, you know, this person could probably do a whole book about cinemas and film history. And after that book came out, they asked, well, have you got anything to pitch? And I thought, well, UFOs. I used to read lots of books about UFOs. I love the X-Files. And now I've been on a 3-book trajectory of the paranormal. And what it has made me is more open-minded. I think at the beginning I would have been more skeptical, but now I'm more open, and I'm willing to hold a certain duality in my mind of believing and disbelieving at the same time. Does that make any sense?
Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
much so. Yeah,
absolutely. You have to be comfortable with paradox. That was beautiful.
I think we have had the same effect on us, doing this podcast. You know, of this, like, well, I don't know, there's this, but then there's this, and you kind of remain agnostic, but also very open at the same time, I feel like.
Yeah, I love that. That was beautiful.
Let's take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about these books. We got a lot to unpack here. I'm so excited. Okay, Adam. I've been patiently waiting for the next book in what I was hoping would be your supernatural series, and it is the Illustrated History of Urban Legends. Now, I was intrigued by this title because we usually associate here in the States Mothman with cryptids, not necessarily urban legends. So how did you choose this umbrella to put cryptids and some of the other things that might show up in the book into?
Okay, so at the beginning of the book, I kind of established that I'm using urban legends as a pretty broad descriptor. It's folklore in the contemporary era. It was originally envisaged as folklore that people tell each other in the big city. That was the idea in the 50s or 60s.
Cool.
I like that too.
So within that umbrella, I look at how there are urban legends about different topics. So there are urban legends about technology. There are urban legends about cars and the kind of strangers you might meet on
like the Hookman on the side of the road, that stuff.
That's right.
Y2K,
and the Phantom Hitchhiker.
Yeah, Hookman, the Phantom Hitchhiker. Oh, I want to play one.
But then the Phantom Hitchhiker, that intersects with ghosts. And you'll find that it all kind of connects together. Everything's connected. There are urban legends about cryptids. There are urban legends about UFOs. You know, a lot of places you'll find that there's a haunted house that everyone has rumors about, and you'll get a phenomena that's called legend tripping, where people dare each other to go to this haunted house, or a bridge that's got a monster associated with it. So there's the connection between urban legends and cryptids. Where I grew up, there's an American Air Force base called Menwith Hill, and there were a lot of urban legends about it being a UFO base, even though no one actually saw any UFOs or aliens. And then in this book, I go through a colourful rogues gallery of cryptids and bogeymen and, all the various legends there have been, including Y2K you mentioned.
I love how you called it legend tripping, almost like these urban legends need activation, like they need a participant to activate it. And what I love about it is all these urban legends, they have some sort of dare component, some active component that you're not supposed to do, a trap. You're supposed to trigger it, it's a mouse trap, and I love that sort of legend tripping. I think that's so cool.
You're right, and there is almost a trigger system. They almost work like jokes. There's a setup and then a payoff. And a lot of it's quite dark humor, like the famous story about a dog in a microwave, if you've heard that one.
Well, I don't know that one.
You haven't heard the dog in the microwave? Maybe you shouldn't read about that.
It's a cat. I always heard
your dog in a microwave. Would be my first.
I always heard it as the cat in the microwave. But tell the story.
This isn't Schlesinger's cat, right? This is something different.
Schrodinger's.
Okay. What's a Schrodinger?
Schrodinger's cat.
Somebody's cat is getting something. So,
Adam,
what's happening?
Tell the microwave dog story.
This pet that's getting nuked.
It's not a very pleasant one, but it goes back to probably the 60s or 70s. I wrote in my book, so I don't have to remember. It's a story of usually an elderly woman who takes her dog for a walk, or her cat comes in, if you prefer, and it's soaking wet. And she's got this new microwave, and she knows it cooks things, or it dries them off, or it makes things hot. So she puts the animal in there. And
God!
And then it gets gremlins.
Happy ending.
Yeah,
but it's an urban legend.
That's deviant.
It's been spread around. Who knows if it has any true provenance?
Yeah, it's like
so
I heard
no dogs were harmed.
So-and-so's grandma, or did you know there used to be an old lady that lived here that tried to dry her cat in a microwave and it blew up like that? That's
an evolution of the hag and the candy house, bringing a kid in and then cooking
it
in the oven.
Purpose. She wasn't trying to
no, but
kill
it's an evolution of that, it's being lured into, it's a different thing.
Bryce is exactly correct, and that's what writers what's his name? I've got his book here, the famous writer on urban legends.
Grimm's.
Jan Horold Brunvand. Or
cool.
Jan.
Oh, cool.
I haven't read that book. That looks great.
Kind of like a proto-Jacques Vallée. He suggests that urban legends, this is a common line of thought in folklore, but urban legends and folklore, they go back centuries and centuries and centuries, and you'll find that they have the same kind of formula. They just get updated to fit the times,
Mm-hmm.
Once upon a time, it was a microwave. Go back a few hundred years, and it's an oven.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about the oven in that story. That's true,
man.
So what are some of your favorite urban legends from this book? Because the other thing that I have to mention is not only are we excited to read about these things, but Adam's illustrations are so great. I am excited to see you draw these things. I mean, look at this from the. I've showed this to the boys many, many times, but from the Illustrated History of UFOs.
We love
beautiful rogues gallery of aliens and creatures.
Tell us about your drawing.
I can show you some bogeymen.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Gorgeous.
My son wishes he could draw like that.
Everyone can draw.
That's great.
I love that.
I'm very curious about your art practice and when you started drawing, and then when you just took it towards being a full-time career.
I guess I've always drawn. Both my mum was an art teacher, and my dad was a fine artist who was interested in doing strange art, let's say. Most of his recent projects have been cutting out lots of things off the internet and then pasting them onto bad paintings he finds in charity shops.
Fun.
Oh, I love
Great.
that.
Create
That's
a sense of
awesome.
irony. You know, put like a little mobile phone in someone's hand.
Yeah,
Right.
That's the kind of modern practice he does. Anyway, my folks always encouraged art. Both my siblings are also in the creative sector.
Wow.
And then
That's incredible.
You know, I went to art university. I did a illustration degree, and I got into Photoshop pretty young, specifically to modify games.
How so? What do you mean?
So game
Modify-
modding is when, in my instance, it was to introduce different skins for characters.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it was for a game called. It was for a game called Star Wars Battlefront.
Oh, one of my all-time faves.
2004.
Yep, great game, classic.
And that's how I learned Photoshop. And so by the time I got to uni, years and years later, I was already pretty proficient. And I wasn't sure I was going to be an illustrator at the beginning of the degree, but by the end, I figured it all out, and I started doing work for museums. So museum installation design, informative panels. Then I did sort of editorial work for magazines. And then I did my first book on the history of filmmaking in 2016.
Wow.
Dang.
Also a great book.
You're like the Phoenixes, just an artistic family. Sorry, Riley, I jumped on you. Go ahead.
Oh, no, it's okay. I'm just curious, like, about what drew you to sort of like illustration style, and like, why that pathway sort of opened up to you in your art?
I think my biggest influence would have been Hergé, the creator of Tintin.
Oh yeah, you can see that.
Yeah, cool.
But to be an illustrator, I guess when I first went to higher education, I thought I was going to be a product designer, and a tutor astutely pointed out that I was mostly interested in drawing pictures rather than making anything practical. And that was a big revelation for me, so I stayed on that path.
So you went and sort of like, I'm going to do the practical thing. I'm going to be a product designer. I'd grown up in an art house, and then it just took back over, huh?
Yep.
I love that.
I really like
it's pretty amazing.
The drawing of the pictures I enjoy most. And I've been doing it for nearly 10 years now.
Wow. So what are some of these favorite things that you've gotten to draw for this series? And does the illustration come before the research, or does the research influence the illustration?
I guess I'm an illustrator first, so I research and I frame what's going to be in the book based on what I think will be interesting to draw.
Yeah, great.
Which is maybe a unique form of editorial. I'll read a pile of books to start, make notes, have a big wall of text, Word document. I'll try and create a vague chronology. I'll see where the gaps are, try and plug them in. I've had consultants on the last few books who've been very nice. Haley Stevens, who's a skeptic ghost hunter, and David Clark, who's a well-known UFO expert and folklorist in Britain. I don't think he's done too many talking head stuff in documentaries, but he'll often submit, things for newspapers. So he's very well respected.
Speaking of respected and English investigators, I've got to ask you, since we have crop circles, what do you think of crop circles, Adam? We have not done crop circles on our podcast, yes, if you can believe it or not. 7 years in, I know, it's too overwhelming to me because, like, there's so much there, so much good stuff. I got to get the right angle in, and I think anyway, what do you think?
I've seen one in real life in Finland when I was a child, and I asked the person I was with, where did that come from? And she just told me that it was a guy on a quad bike.
Well, that's that.
That's that.
Thus
I
dissolves
was
the
hoping for
mystery.
some Jungian existential. I mean, even space people would have been nice, but I did not expect that.
Kind of going back.
Love it. So, what is your favorite? One of the illustrations that jumped out to me in the history of UFOs is your double-page spread on the Andreasen case. You have that amazing die-cut illustration of the UFO. That was a big inspiration for me to go in and do a deep dive on that case. What are some of your favorites that you've gotten to illustrate over the years?
Yeah, the Andreasen there was really interesting, specifically because of her drawings and how charming they were. Mm-hmm. But I do really enjoy the pulled apart, exploded diagrams. I did one of Dulce or Dulspace.
Yep.
As well, which was good fun. Trying to nail down the specifics of space has been fun.
I love that
diagrams
stuff.
And trying to distill something that's hyper real and fantastical, and trying to make it look more like something that you find in IKEA instructions. It's a fun challenge.
Maybe that's why you haven't been aboard a spacecraft, is because you're too good of an artist. They're like, we can't bring this guy aboard. He's too close. He'll get it too close. You know. So we gotta. They'll figure it out. That's why everybody's drawings are always like those sort of like 3rd, 4th grade drawings. You know, they're just
They only abduct people who can't draw that well. They're good enough, and they're fun.
I think there's a motive there. Yeah, for sure.
I'm trying to think. I don't think a really good artist has ever been abducted. This you're on.
They're like this. Watch this girl tell her friends about the map that we showed her. This is going to be great. Go ahead, describe the map.
There's a really good book by the guy I just mentioned, David Clark, which is a collection of UFO drawings. I don't know if you've got it, but it's from the old MOD archive.
Oh
MOD,
my gosh, no way. Ministry of Defense. Wow.
Was it MOD? Anyway, they used to have a desk. And if up until a
strange desk, I'm sure they did.
Early or mid-90s, if you called the police and said, I've seen a UFO, they would eventually get passed onto this desk. And if you put up with all the bureaucracy, you end up submitting your drawings and a statement to this guy. And there's, thanks to Freedom of Information requests, they've been able to release all these statements, and drawings, and there's a book that collects the drawings. And
I love that.
Yeah, a lot of them are awful, but they have a charm to them.
That's amazing. You know, we'll put up a link to that. We have an amazing Rachel shout out, who sort of collates the books that we read and mention, and because another great thing about the paranormal is it really requires and advocates for some fun reading. You know, I mean, there's just so many strings everywhere, and you just end up reading about so many amazing things. But that book sounds incredible, by the way. I'm going to want to pick that one up as well. So I love that. There's so many great books out there about these accounts, and yours included, obviously.
Adam, you teased when we started talking about appearing on the show, you teased that there's going to be some fun, or there is some fun Bigfoot stuff in the Illustrated History of Urban Legends. Can you give us a little taste of what our readers might expect, our listeners?
No, he shan't, Michael, because he's not a believer. He shall withhold.
You did say bullshit.
Unless he changes his mind.
Are you trying to tell me you guys are fans of Bigfoot? I couldn't have guessed. We got a little drawing of the Patty film here.
Oh, amazing. So
all
cool.
the different Bigfoot faces.
Oh, jeez.
Let me just show you
Michael's a pretty good artist.
This would be great for audio.
I love that.
Oh yeah, it's a cute
little wave into the camera. Well, what is your take after drawing Bigfoot and researching it for your book? What do you think the Bigfoot phenomena is, since you're not necessarily don't think it's a real physical thing?
So there is a double spread. I'll cut to the chase. There is a double spread on Bigfoot, mostly on the Patterson
Gimlin film. Yeah,
Gimlin film. Yep. I always think Grimshaw.
That's a better name, to be fair.
Yeah. The Patty film, as it's referred to. Hey, is it true experts or enthusiasts of Bigfoot are known as Bigfooters.
Yeah. Squatchers, Bigfooters, footers, just footers. Yep.
Shorten it now, it's easier.
My take would be, as we discussed earlier, it's a sort of phenomena that goes back through time and has taken many shapes. Now, you can look at it from the Jacques Vallée perspective and say it's all real and it changes its mask to suit our particular tastes of the time, or you can look at it from the skeptic point of view and say we encounter strange things all the time and we dress it up ourselves with what we're familiar with. You know, there's the wood woes in England,
Green Man.
which are
You mentioned the Green Man.
And the Green Man.
All that's connected
the Green
to
Man,
Bigfoot.
which is still, you still see it carved into old buildings in the UK everywhere. Churches.
Yep.
And, you know, I think in the book I present both arguments. You know, I myself am mostly a skeptic, but I accept the duality and I present both cases in the book. And I don't talk down to believers. I think it's all good fun.
That's one of the things that I love about this series is you do, and you get that sense reading the book. And it's also, I would be hard pressed to find an easier or more accessible history of these subjects than these books. I mean, these books are great primers. If you're listening to this podcast at home and you're like, I want a good UFO timeline or I want a good ghost timeline, get these books. I consider these required reading for our Club Scouts, for sure.
You know what? You bring up such a great point, and there's something about this. Okay, when you're examining the paranormal, you finally come to the edge where you're like, you have to confront and become comfortable with paradox, right? And you called it what? You used a different term for it.
Duality.
A duality, yes. And so I think this is the problem that science is confronting now with all this paranormal stuff, is because science is just never going to get comfortable with open paradox, because they want to pin it down in a laboratory. They want to repeat it in the corner of a room, and the phenomenon won't do that, you know? And as soon as we can start to get comfortable with paradox and duality, then we can really start to explore these topics as they're meant to be explored. And I think that's just so key, too. I love that, you know, because you have to be comfortable with this is so, but it's also not so. And they're both real, and they're both not real. John Tenney is copy all bullshit. Bryce is copy all believe it, and they're interchangeable. It's all bullshit, and I believe it all.
You know, that reminds me of some stuff I was reading about the changing attitudes in anthropology over the years, especially when it comes to studying magical practices around the world. You know, there was a time when anthropologists would go out and they'd speak to a shaman or a practitioner, and they would watch the ceremony, and there were some anthropologists that would do a sort of Houdini act and show that it was all fake, you know, expose them to their audience.
Right.
Now, is it their place to, you know, there's a sort of colonialist attitude to show actually your beliefs are fake?
Yeah.
And here's some science. And I think in more modern times, anthropologists are more likely to participate, and they're going to learn a lot more about culture that way, rather than trying to disprove everything.
Or interject an ideology. Yeah, so well said, man.
Yeah.
Adam, where can well, I have a couple questions, and
in Michael's bookshelf, that's where we can find it.
No, that's what it sounded like I was going to ask. That's why I was stopping myself. Where do you think this goes next? What's the next book going to be? I have some suggestions, but I want to know if you know.
You do?
Yeah, I want to know if you know where the Supernatural series is. You can't be done yet. I need more of these books.
It's at the mercy of the publishers. You know? In an ideal
Isn't it
world,
always?
With disregarding intellectual property, I would do an illustrated history of Star Trek. That would be good fun.
That'd be a blast.
Oh
I
my
would love that.
gosh.
I did notice the Enterprise in your background. Are you a big Star Trek fan?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the,
You got it.
The original.
Adam, you should hear the
17
episode we did on the Council of Nine. You know, Gene Roddenberry was deeply interested in channelings from Dr. Pudoff and his Council of Nine aliens that were delivering him information. That's why even in Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, go check that one out. So aliens are everywhere, man.
What was that?
Very
something
nice.
you grew up on, like alongside X-Files? I remember when I was a kid growing up watching Star Trek with my dad, and it definitely planted a lot of these ideas in my head.
Yeah, my mum was a big Trekkie, and she used to go
My
to
brother
work
too,
with a colleague who would have Klingon tapes in the car. Learning Klingon.
Oh, that's deep. That's
Like
heavy.
like Klingon
Trying
language
to learn
learning
Klingon.
tapes.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that's
god.
right.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Her colleague would also wear...
Bryce, you are embarrassing yourself for the people who speak Klingon.
That's
Just so you
true.
know.
Yeah, it's a
That
legitimate
is
language.
you've
an
just-
insult to
Yeah.
everyone's hard work out there.
I apologize.
I think you've just declared
no
war,
insult
actually.
meant.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh,
gonna be in
listen.
trouble.
I grew up with that shit. My brother went to the Trekkie conventions. I was like, "What are you wearing today?"
Bryce was a Star Wars boy.
I was a Star Wars
yeah.
boy, and he
Same
was a
here.
Trekkie. That's amazing though. I love them both. Now I
Well-
appreciate both though.
There you go, you've embraced duality.
Yes, I have.
Trekkie
Yeah.
or
You know which one got
Star
me?
Wars fan.
No.
Right.
It was
What?
number
Right.
4 when they met with the whales and they came back to San
Oh, yeah.
Francisco.
Of
course.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this movie's great. I loved
Yep.
it.
It's a great standalone Star Trek film, yeah. But I grew up watching the X-Files, of course, but TNG was on BBC Two, I think, back in the day. Used to watch it on the 4x3
What's
TV in the
TNG?
corner of the room.
The Next Generation.
The Next Generation.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
shit, right. Yeah.
Bryce, you need to go sit in the corner now. You've really insulted our Trekkie
Go play with
fans,
your
our
lightsaber.
Trekkers.
I'm going to put my stupid fans back on. Oh, my God. Annoy Michael some more.
No, I can't deal with those fans. My OCD cannot deal with it. Adam, I would like to make a pitch. Based on this conversation today, I would love to see an illustrated history of the Fae. I think you could kick ass and do some really cool stuff with
Mythology.
Celtic folklore and then other Fae and Jinn folklore from around the world. That's
a
my
great
pitch.
idea.
I'd love to see it. I think it would fit right next to all of these other topics. Go get these books, everybody. Illustrated History of UFOs, the Illustrated History of Ghosts, and the Illustrated History of Urban Legends. And Adam, where should people do that? And where can people follow your work?
Okay, so the publisher for Urban Legends is Flying Eye Books, and you can get their websites on nobrow.net, who publish the former titles, and they're mostly available in any good bookshop. You go to a bookshop, you ask them to order it in, they'll do it for you.
Yep.
They
Love
like
that.
it when you do that.
Oh, I do too.
And it supports
yeah.
your local bookshop.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And people can find me on Instagram. I am at AAAB_illustration. Those are my initials. AAAB.
Triple A.
Baby.
Yeah.
Bob.
We love it.
And I got to get this in here. My son's a great drawer. I didn't mean to say that. And everyone should draw, like you said. I feel really bad
right.
now. He's a beautiful drawer. I love his
great.
cartoons. Son, if you're ever listening to this one day, I love your stuff. He's right. Everyone can draw.
First of all, there's no way he's listening. Secondly, I have some of your son's art hanging on my refrigerator right now.
Thank you. Michael, you're a
So,
great drawer,
there you
too.
go.
And,
Oh, thanks.
God
I'm
bless
a
all you guys.
huge fan of yours, Adam. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Make another supernatural book so we can bring you back and do this again.
Seriously, welcome
very
back
much
anytime
like to.
you want to come on.
Awesome. And we'll put links to the books in the show notes of this episode. Club Scouts, go out and get these books. They're not crazy expensive, and they're going to bring you a lot of joy. So go do it. Mm-hmm. Yes, classic saucer.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
that's
That
a
almost looks
CS
like
if I ever
the
saw
bridge to the Star Trek ship, right?
Yeah,
Did you
this
make
is
those?
The part
the
that comes
Bob
off.
Lazar one.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Oh, the classic.
And
That's
here's
the sports model.
That's
George
Fly with
Adamski.
Moths?
Yep,
Oh,
that's
okay.
it.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
ortho
yeah.
ship right there.
Yeah.
Which was made out of Hoover parts.
Yeah, a lamp and some vacuum cleaner parts.
The George Adamski, I think, was the top of a gas lamp.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
The
yeah.
lamp.
Right.
Awesome.
That's right.
Well, thank
but-
you, Adam.
Yeah.
What a class act.
Yeah.
What a
gem.
classic saucer act.
Classic saucer act. You're right. I it's so funny. The thing that I love about doing this podcast is sometimes you can nerd out about very specific people, and then you're like, wait a minute, I think I have an excuse to talk to this person, and it's a podcast that I do. I was very delighted that he got back to me and that he joined us. And I really, we were kind of all over the place with this conversation. We were just very excited, but like really just his art too is so phenomenal. So cool.
Yeah. I mean, he's so talented. One of the things I was thinking about when he was talking about distilling in the illustration form and sort of distilling things down to their essence, where he was talking about, taking something very complex and making it look like an IKEA drawing, was how that also you see that in his writing too. And his artistic approach to presenting this stuff it's so cool, the way it's all just distilled down into these very tight, very digestible and very sort of composed and beautiful presentations of these like very broad and bizarre things.
There's an illustration it might be UFOs, it could be in Ghosts. I would have to flip through and find out, but he does an illustration of liminal spaces, and his visual for that is just a car with the headlights on, like up against, I think, like a tunnel or like an old road.
Cool.
And I'm like, that's now what I picture when I think of the term liminal space. I go to his visual for that. And and that's why I think these are such good books for everybody, because they're not hard reads. You can sit down and enjoy these books in an afternoon, and then go back. I find myself going back to them over and over and over again.
He's like drawing these creatures from his bed as he's in as they're in his shadow. They're in a corner, and he's like, he's half asleep. He's like, hold on now. Oh, I got you good here. Good.
But yeah, they really are. They're also the kind of books that you can just leave out, and you'll find yourself picking up and just thumbing through it. They kind of like, it really rewards repeat engagement, and I've enjoyed that UFO book ever since you gave it to me, Michael. It's a good one.
Yeah, here's the liminal space. It is the Illustrated History of Ghosts, and it's just a car on a lonely road looking at a tunnel with its headlights. It's great. I love it. Okay, well, everyone, go get those books in the show notes. Required reading. Before we head over to Collector's Corner, let's thank some Club Scouts who have recently joined us over on BCC The Other Side. Reminder, don't sign up through the app. It's go to the website and do it, because Apple's trying to take all of everybody's money. So sign up for this on the website, not the app.
But you can still use the app also once you sign up through the website. So just do that and save yourself the extra Apple fees.
Yeah, do that, please. Okay, it's time for some Patreon shout-outs. Jex G.
Thank you.
Elwin Ariate, Cosmeteer.
Thank you, Elwin. Welcome.
Brandon Cordova, Cosmeteer.
Thank you, Brandon. Welcome.
J. Ray.
Thank you, J. Ray.
Alyssa Calhoun.
Thanks, Alyssa.
Softron.
Thank you.
Justin Whitney.
Thanks, Justin.
Matthew Baldwin.
Thank you.
Squall Cloud, Cosmeteer.
Squall Cloud, welcome.
The Great One, Brandon Mullins.
Thank you.
Shellworthy.
Oh, thanks, Shell.
And our favorite name of the week, which demands it be read in the voice of applesauce, Squatch Hooters. Yeehaw! Cosmeteer.
A pendulous welcome to you.
There you go.
Join us at patreon.com/BigfootCollectorsClub and unlock total access to BCC with 3 bonus episodes every month, access to the entire exclusive episodes archives instantly, the BCC Discord, and more. You can upgrade to the Cosmeteer membership to unlock 3 amazing musical scores right here from the show, composed by Riley, super producer Riley, every month, and the whole backlog to those. Over 24 hours worth of music now. And, of course, ad-free episodes like the one that you're listening to right now. Okay, let's swing by a real quick Collector's Corner. Once again, I'm just going to... I've already done it, these books, but... Adam's books for sure. Also, check out my eBay shop. I'm putting links in the show notes. I'm interacting with so many Cosmeteers that are taking home pieces of my collection that I
love that. That's so amazing.
Making space for getting married in my life, and I need to get rid of some of my stuff. And I want them to go. I want them to go. I want them to go to cool Club Scouts. So if you're into collectibles, if you're into toys, action figures, check out my eBay shop, Micamax7. Link in the show notes. Bryce, you got a TV show on. You got to tell everybody about
you guys should be watching that if you aren't already. You know it. Expedition Bigfoot. It's season 5. It's airing on Discovery on Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. Choke your local listings and tell your friends. Watch it. We're NorCal, the Lost Coast. Come on, we're hunting Bigfoot.
I love that, Michael. I'm gonna put you on the spot right here.
Yes.
Can I sell something through your store?
Sure. Why not? What do you got?
Okay, guys. Here's what it's gonna be. So I have this pair of headphones. Not this pair. I had to replace them. They still work, but I've worn all the way through the cushioning. They're starting to come apart, and it's because I wore this one pair of headphones for probably 5-6 seasons of this show. Countless audio
Riley's
recordings.
cans,
This
guys.
is like a relic.
Riley wants to sell his
literally-
cans.
I'm cleaning out my house right now, and I've been doing a major clean out, and I came across these, and I was like, I can't just get rid of these.
Special.
These have the very DNA of the show embedded in them. So
Guys, he's not lying. I took home 3 salt lamps and a magic mirror last night from Riley.
Here's what I think we should do.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, let's put them up. We'll auction them off, and then we will take the money that we make and put it towards a charity.
I love
That's
that.
great.
Yes.
How about a pet charity? Can we do a pet charity?
Yeah, let's do
Since
a
we
pet
all
charity.
love
That's
pets?
great. We'll find a rescue, a local LA rescue.
How
we
about
can send
cats?
the money to.
Since we talked about cats and dogs on this show,
we'll find a local
figure
LA
that.
rescue
We'll
that
get to
does
the details.
All right.
both.
Happening
We'll
in real
figure it
time.
out. But we'll send the proceeds to a charity. How about that?
I love that. Yeah,
Great.
let's go. Yeah. So whoever wants them, someone's going to get them. It's going to go to a good cause. And they are, I mean, there's something about they're so worn. It is the very fabric of this show is in those cans. And they still work too. They sound
You think
great.
a hair might come out of there with them too? Like if you
I'm
like
sure
maybe a
Clone
plucked
Riley.
hair.
I'm sure
some
there's
of that
my
golden
actual
lion's
DNA
mane
in them as
oh my
well.
god!
Yeah.
I might have to
So-
make a purchase play for those myself.
They're going to be in Michael's Magic Emporium.
Great. There we go. I'll put them up as of this recording. We'll have them already loaded up and ready to be taken home by a Club Scout. Okay, we are going to cross over to the other side for the return of Book Club. But guess what? Because we're talking about books this week. But guess what?
What?
It's not what you think. It's not
Because I haven't read a book.
Because I was like, what didn't I
was
read?
like,
I just had
whoa.
flashbacks to high school. I was like,
Dude, that was scary, dude.
Let's just
Pop
say.
quiz. What? I gotta use the
Let's
restroom,
just-
Mrs. T.
Let's just say, and this won't make sense until you listen on Friday, we're going to read the book in Book Club. How about that?
Man, you gotta get a
wow.
Patreon if you don't
It's
have
going to be
it.
a very quiet
Okay.
episode.
All right. If we don't see you over there, we'll see you back here next week for an all. Yeah, we're just going to read.
It's just an hour
quietly
of
to
silence
ourselves.
while we read.
Yeah, great. We'll see you back here next week for an all new episode of BCC. Until then, good night.
And go get regress. Thank you, Michael.
I didn't step on it this time. Sorry, sometimes I'm just reading off the script. And my
I
mouse
did. I
is
don't
going.
care. I'm not precious about
So
it.
excited in this.
I know. We were all a little loopy excited. I love it.
I've had too much
Fanning
fun.
out, bud. Bigfoot Collectors Club is executive produced by Michael McMillan, Riley Bray, and Bryce Johnson. Our show is engineered, produced, and scored by Riley Bray. Our theme song, Come Alone, is by Suneaters. Follow them on Spotify. Want more BCC? For exclusive full-length episodes every month and total access to the other side, check out patreon.com/BigfootCollectorsClub.